if you go to the effort of like I said before, immersing yourself and trying to understand what it is that entails that type of industry or whatever it is you want to do, doing that first, then going to the trouble of doing the course, it really solidifies what you have already researched sometimes, and then highlights what you don't already know.
Hello and welcome to the Pybites podcast, where we talk about Python, career, and mindset. We're your hosts. I'm Julian Sequeira.
And I am Bob Beldebos. If you're looking to improve your Python, your career, and learn the mindset for success, this is the podcast for you. Let's get started.
Welcome back to the Pybites podcast. This is Julian. I'm here today having a chat with a very special friend of mine, Jacob Moyers. So I really want you to settle in and enjoy the conversation. Today, Jake and I are going to be talking about his unique journey. Jake currently works in cybersecurity. He's a competitive Olympic weightlifter and he's a military veteran. The amazing thing about his story is that he's moved his career through the military, out of the military, into some engineering, and then has moved primarily through non-tech type roles, but has landed himself in a tech position in cybersecurity. What's really special about that is the mindset that Jake has taken and the things that he's done are universal. And these are things that Bob and I constantly talk about on this podcast and with all of our clients. It's really, really amazing to see Jake's mindset, how he has pushed through so much limitation and so many challenges to get the success that he has, to the point where he's in a tech role after having an entire career of non-tech, which I know is something a lot of people in our community want to do. And it's also helped him this year reach number one, to be number one ranked in the heavyweight Olympic weightlifter category in New South Wales, the state that we live in. He's actually, if we'd recorded this episode 2 weeks ago, he would have still been number one, but there was just a competition he didn't participate in, and he just got knocked off his podium there. So that said, it's a wonderful conversation. Absolutely loved it. Had so much fun. So I hope you do too. Please settle in, enjoy the conversation. Here's my interview with Jake Moyers. Welcome back, everyone. I'm here with Jake Moyers, as per the introduction. Jake, how's it going? Welcome to the Pybites podcast.
Thank you, Julian. Good to be here. First time on the podcast, or first time on any podcast. So
you're nervous?
Yeah, it's no, it's okay.
Okay. No. All right, I'm going to make you nervous.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. So look, I gave a bit of an introduction to everyone, which you haven't heard yet because I haven't recorded it yet at this time. I'm doing it backwards. But just for everyone listening, do you want to introduce yourself? What are you up to these days? What is it that you do? Tell us a bit about yourself.
Yep. So Jacob Moyers, 36, currently working in cybersecurity.
Yeah.
Married.
Okay.
I
Credit card number.
I compete in weightlifting. So the one where you throw it above your head, that you see in the Olympics. And prior to that, I was working with yourself at Amazon or AWS in data centers. And prior to that, in the military space, working as a government contractor and in the military for about 9 years. So yeah,
wow,
those are the big highlights, I guess.
No, I love it. Okay, so everyone, the reason I've invited Jake here is because of exactly what he's just said. You can see that super detailed journey, or that intricate journey that you've been on. So you're in the military. What were you working on in the military? Just remind me. It was helicopters, wasn't it?
Yeah. I initially joined as a avionics technician, so someone that fixes anything that has a spark, electrical current, or essentially a motor on the helicopter, and instruments, things like that. So weapon systems, radar, flight computers, controls, things like that. Yeah, that was my trade, if you will. So you join up, and that was my trade, and then I branched off and did various other roles whilst I was in there as well.
Okay. So that technical aptitude that you had, that's what led you into AWS as a what was it, engineering? Was the role
Yeah,
again?
yeah. The role for that was data center operations engineer. So
That's right.
anything to do with power, cooling, and anything for the building, basically, the data
Hmm.
center itself. There's a team that looks after the day-to-day running of that. So
Yeah.
generators, air conditioners, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. And for all the listeners, as Jake mentioned, that's when we worked together because I was in a partner team to that when, as you all know, when I worked in the AWS data centers. So that's where Jake and I met and formed a friendship, a bit of a bond. And actually, side note, this is where I first got my inspiration to start my exercise journey. So you all know that Bob and I often talk about, our workouts and the motivation to get back in and do it. It all came from Jake. From me. He was the one who said, he looked at me one day. You looked at me one day, Jake, and you said, you should work out. I reckon you'd be good at it." And then you wrote me an entire 2-page workout schedule, which I still have,
uh,
by the way, all
uh,
these years later. Um, that I use as a placemat at my dinner table. No, I'm kidding. But it's still, so that you kicked it all off, and I'm still going all these years later, which is good. Um, but yeah, so now what I wanted to really push on here is the mindset, right? Because so
yeah,
everyone, Jake, what you did was to me really inspiring, and this is why I wanted you to share your message because one of the biggest pain points that people listening to this podcast and people that we work with, people in our community, is just having that one, the confidence to change careers completely, the confidence to chase something different and new, and the confidence in themselves because there's a lot of imposter syndrome, like I'll never be good enough to do this, I'll never get there. And sometimes people have these grand ideas like, oh, I wish I could do this one day, or I wish I was that senior Python developer. I was the expert on my team that everyone talked to, and I wish I just knew things, right? And I think you have personified that journey very well. And as I've been watching and listening and talking with you over the years, seeing how you've gotten there, I really want you to um, communicate that to the audience, to our listeners today, because um, so everyone, Jake went from that very hands-on role
yeah,
of working
yeah,
on electricals and being on your feet all day for 12 hours a day into what? Where have you landed now?
yeah. So at the moment in cybersecurity, the company I work for, so DXC, we have a lot of government contracts, and we provide assistance to businesses and governments on how to securely operate their infrastructure. So if they want to have Windows, what antivirus things they should put on there, what products, all those sorts of things. And we provide monthly reports to the customer. So it's a lot more of a customer facing role, I guess, would be
Mhm.
a way to put it. And reporting on events that occur within their cyber environment. So if there's like hacks or DDoS attacks and things like that, and I talk to the engineers about how they can remedy that or what mitigation steps they put in,
Mhm.
and that's sort of the current role, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah, with lots of different growth options from there as well. Because I remember
yeah,
you were learning some Python as you were
yeah,
working
yeah,
towards getting into
yeah.
this.
Very. I think it's important to at least get a very rudimentary knowledge of um, some things and then just try and specialize in something else around
Mm,
that. So understanding Python, like I can't code, you know, but I understand the flow
mm,
of I can read something and I can get a interpretation of what's trying to happen here.
yeah.
Yeah. So when the engineers show me something and they go, "Oh, look, this is what's going on," you go, Oh, okay, I can see that, and then I can then also translate that to the customers
Yeah,
and
that's
the
cool.
clients.
And
Yeah.
Python makes that easier to do as well. When you have
Yes,
a lot of
very,
different
yeah,
code.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But okay, so what I really want to point out here is that the role you were in before, being very hands-on, you had no experience in
That's right.
cybersecurity prior to
Yeah,
this role, right? So
yeah, that's
that
right.
jump, that's a massive jump to go from,
Mm,
what is a very hands-on technical electrical trade type role into
yeah,
that sort of corporate office environment. You're on your laptop all day. It's a
yeah.
completely different form of communication, different technology stack, different skill set completely from what you were doing before. It's not something you ever researched or studied in, years and years ago, right?
No, no,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah,
So
it
just,
was. Yeah, I'll go through how I sort of
yeah, where'd that
got
idea
there, I
come
guess.
from, man? Yeah.
Yeah, I took a. I always had an interest in, I guess, clandestine, if you will, clandestine type movies,
Mm,
or like one of my favorite movies. I don't talk about movies, is The Imitation Game, and it's
oh
it's
yeah.
about, I don't know if you've seen that movie, and for anyone
Yep.
listening, watching, it's a really good film about the cracking of the Enigma code.
Mm,
Uh, and that saw those movies and stories and things like that really sparked an interest in me once I started working around the data space at Amazon. And I thought, that's where I want to end up. That's where
mm,
I really want to get there. I don't know what job I want to do with whilst in there. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I figured that's what I want to do. And I looked at what the skill set that I currently had, and I thought, okay, operational engineering experience. I have my security clearances from the military from my time in there, and I have a security mindset. Like, that's
mm,
just something I had. I'm aware of things and practices and terminologies and stuff like that. And then I researched more. And I immersed myself within that environment, not being a technical person. If I'd watch a movie about um, the the Stuxnet, the Operation Olympic Games,
mm.
where the Americans attacked uh, the Iranian nuclear power plant for their nuclear weapons. They they basically put a cyber bomb in there. Uh, and when I watched that documentary, I was pausing it every 5 minutes, and then I'd go and do a Google search and say, like, "Oh, what does that mean? All right, what does this mean? And how does that link
Yeah.
to the next thing? And how does that branch off what I already know?" Okay, cool, that makes sense. So, and then I built up a knowledge. I looked up some courses. I completed a few of them, and I thought, okay, cool. Now I'm gonna also reach out to friends that I know. Okay, do you know anyone in cybersecurity? And luckily enough, I did. And I said, okay, this is my skill set. Is there anything? Let me know what comes up. And I was fortunate enough to get an interview, and then I found, I was accepted, and I took on the role.
Hmm.
And yeah, it was a challenge because there's a lot of products, a lot of skills. I wasn't very good at Excel before, and now I am a master at it because there's a lot of data cutting, a lot of
Yeah.
but that the things that are, if you just have a mindset of, I'm going to find a way, and I don't care what's in my way to get there or what
Mm,
obstacles there are, I'm going to use every resource possible, and I'm going to get the job done.
mm.
And even if that is asking other people or Googling, searching, or whatever it may be, you get the job done.
Yeah.
And it takes a while. It takes a while, like you mentioned. Someone wants to be an expert. It takes time, um, and it takes, how would I put it? You need to be disagreeable with yourself. And what I mean by that is, you need to disagree with your current mindset that that what I currently know or what I'm currently doing is not good enough. It needs to be
Mm,
better. You need, like, actually stop, reassess, and go, no, I can actually do better here. I can actually go one more, and one more, 1% each day, obviously is 365, right? So
Mm.
if you can do that each and every day, just on one thing, doesn't have to be, you know, you don't have to learn how to, do complex Python coding or whatever it may be, or building
Mm.
databases, etc. But just learning one extra little bit of information, and then over time, guaranteed, your people will start coming to you and asking questions, and you'll be that person. You'll be that knowledgeable person.
Yeah. Oh man. So I should have taken notes, but I've got a very loud
That's okay.
keyboard in the background. No, no, that's just there's so many things there that, because you and I didn't prep for this at all, right? And
No,
there's but every part of the process and the journey you've talked about is something that we constantly talk about on this podcast and also with our clients as we coach to get them through because it's not easy. But one of the things I do want to really call out here and just drill into people is that this wasn't done, and excuse the language, this wasn't done half-assed, right?
no,
You immersed yourself into it, and that's one of the things I want to call out here that is so commendable because you weren't even in a tech job. You weren't even, say, in a tech adjacent role where you're coding all day, right?
no, no.
This was
Yeah.
mm,
I would watch you do your coding, or I'd watch other people, or I would
you'd
just
take an
observe,
interest.
listen. Yeah, take an interest and go, okay, how does that work? Oh, okay, and that sort of. But I definitely didn't. Yeah, we were,
Mm.
you know, we're spanners and uh,
Yeah, I
yeah,
remember steel toe
spanners
boots.
and yeah.
Yeah,
If someone could develop like a drop down box in Excel, it was like, oh,
magic.
for our checklists, it was wizardry. So
Yeah,
um yeah, so things like that, yeah, indicate it was not a very, um, what would you call it, computer heavy,
yeah,
admin strong
yeah.
role, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing that the one of the things that you mentioned that or one of your processes that I really liked is that it wasn't just immersing yourself like you're talking about the movie and pausing and researching, right? But you were taking inspiration from everywhere and you were also connecting that interest with your current values and skills and talents to go, how is it that, how do the things that I know now translate into where I want to go? Right. That's one thing we're constantly talking with people about. It's like, yeah, okay, you're a school teacher. You put yourself down and say, I'm only a school teacher. I'm like, but no, you're not only a school teacher, you have communication skills, you have organization skills, you have the ability to learn on the spot, to challenge people, to be challenged. And those are highly valuable satellite skills if you break them up into little chunks and go, okay, those skills would actually be applicable in, say, a trading role, in a technical role, in this, in troubleshooting, so on and so forth. So I love that you were finding those and then piecing those together with what you were researching, going, oh, actually, based on this technology stack with cybersecurity, I have this interest, I have this ability with troubleshooting, with maintaining, fixing, learning, whatever, to challenge, to take on that challenge and actually succeed. So, and clearly you got the job. You haven't been fired yet. Well, you haven't been fired
Yeah.
yet, right? No,
No,
just
no.
checking, just checking,
Yeah,
just checking, man. And so,
yeah.
you know, um, and it's been so cool hearing your stories about not what you've been working because you don't share that stuff, but just hearing about like, oh yeah, you got challenged by this, or you had no idea what something was and you just had to sit there and learn it. Um,
Mm.
so that's really cool. Now, what I want to ask you about as well is that what other than just blanket research, because people listen go, yeah, okay, it's well and good. He watched movies, he was inspired, he read Wikipedia, he read articles and websites. Did you do any sort of intentional formal learning for anything to get into this, or was it all just scrapping stuff together?
Yeah, yeah, I did. I did a course through TAFE on
Okay.
like cybersecurity basics, which is, for those listening, is because we've got an international, or it's like
Yeah.
I'd say an institution primarily for trade and industry that is
Mhm.
sort of I don't want to say below university, but it's different. It's definitely more
Mm.
focused around trade and trade and industry type skills, and they offered that for free, which was
Mm.
pretty crazy. It was just a very basic level, and I finished that, learned lots, took notes all the whole way through,
Yep.
and yeah, so that was a good way to. I find if you if you go to the effort of like I said before, immersing yourself and trying to understand what it is that entails that type of industry or whatever it is you want to do, doing that first, then going to the trouble of doing the course, it really solidifies what you have already researched sometimes, and then highlights what you don't already know.
Mm.
So I find that I found that was a good strategy to implement. Yeah.
Yep. And that's very applicable to what we do, right? Because you don't know what you don't know, and you have to immerse yourself in it to find out, oh crap, I didn't know that technology existed, or that I
Yeah.
didn't even know about that entire function. So yeah, no,
Yeah.
completely agree. Um, Okay, so that you did some TAFE courses. You did the TAFE course. I remember you were doing some of our Pybites exercises. You were um, again throwing yourself into it. But then the last piece I want to mention before I move on to something else is the the networking piece. So I really want to emphasize that point. It wasn't just doing it by yourself. You then reached out to people to find out more information, to
uh,
learn more.
yeah.
What should you be doing? And then to that ultimate piece of going, well, help me find something. So, do you have anything? What did that look like to you? And what sort of wisdom do you have on that?
Yeah, it is. Networking is a very how would I put it? Network and guidance seeking, I would say, is a very interesting concept. And I talked about this with my wife the other day. It's and we talked about how a lot of people want to do things on their own.
Hmm.
They want to either start a business on their own, or they want to, whatever it may be. They feel it appears as though a lot of people feel like they need to do it by themselves to, and therefore if they achieve it themselves, then they're that the result is I don't know, better, if you will.
Hmm.
Whereas if you go to a coach, you go to a teacher, a person who's already a respected individual in the industry, and they guide you there, they haven't done the work for you.
Mm.
It's not as though and as long as though it's a two-way thing where they're happy to teach you in an exchange of whatever it may be. It might just be a friendship, or it might be, hey, look, I might be willing to pay you for these advices, whatever it may be. I find, yeah, seeking out individuals who are competent, who have achieved what you might want to achieve, all parts of that. It might be,
Hmm.
they might want to say, hey, just like I did with you, I want to learn a little bit of Python. I don't need to learn the ins and outs and all that, but I just want to brush up on some skills. I want to learn the basics, etc. So doing that with people that were already in the industry, and people that I was either friends or friends of friends knew,
Mm.
they did give me the time to do that. And it's a real, like, putting your ego aside sort of exercise, I would say, because you
Hmm.
need to be humbled. You need to sit and ask the questions and follow the advice, and literally say to them, I want to do this, or these are my goals. What should I do? And tick them off, one, bang, 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 next one after the other, one after the other, one after the other. And if it doesn't work immediately, well, that's fine. That's okay. You've learned how to do these other things.
Yeah.
There's always a learning within something. And then you just go on to the next person, or the next course, or the next whatever it may be, and then just keep repeating the process until you hit success. It's never going to happen like that, and it's
Hmm.
never, um, unless you're very lucky. But as we say, luck is when opportunity meets preparedness. So if you're
Ooh.
prepared, yeah, if
Yeah.
you're prepared and the opportunity presents itself and you can make it work, then they consider that lucky. So that's my, I guess, spin on networking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dreaming of a tech career or getting more efficient with Python, but feeling stuck in tutorial hell or overwhelmed by coding basics? Pybites Developer Initialization, or PDI, is your launchpad. In just 6 weeks, our one-on-one coaching transforms you from novice to proficient Python developer. Don't just learn Python, master it, and earn your Pybites Developer Associate certification. Apply now and kickstart your tech journey with Pybites. Check out the link in the description below.
Dude, I love it. That's so cool. Because and that luck piece, I've never heard it so eloquently put. I always say, well, you got to make your own luck, right? If you don't put yourself out there, if you don't go to events, if you don't reach out to people, if you don't pick up the phone when it rings,
That's
you're
right.
not going to get the good news on the other end, right?
No.
So, no, I'm totally with you on that. And to that, to your point, right? I think people look at it as themselves that they're a pain. Like if I reach out to you and I say, hey Jake, look, I know nothing about cybersecurity. Um, could you point me to a resource or even have a chat with me about how I would get started in this space? Just to do that, a lot of people might think, oh, I don't want to waste this time. I don't want to waste their time. I don't want to be a pain in the butt. But I think people like to be thought of and people like to be asked about their
Yeah. Yeah.
expertise.
Yeah,
Love to
they
talk
do.
about myself. I mean, look at me. I love to talk about myself. You know me. But also, you know, people, it's people love to share and help other people. It's just how we're wired. We love to see other people grow and know that we're able to influence someone and make the world a better place, that sort of thing. So, um, I think there's a lot of fear around um, networking that people just
Yeah.
don't want to be a pain or they're afraid of it. Um, did you experience any of that, or is that something that you just are like, no, I'm okay with doing that?
Um, I I guess the fear I had, I would say one aspect. He's now my, oh geez, boss's boss, or if you will.
Okay. Yeah.
I was sending him messages saying like, really interested in cybersecurity on LinkedIn. Really look for a career and all this sort of stuff. And I sent another one like a month later, and I thought, oh gee, would I be coming off too keen? I was like,
Yeah.
is that possible? And um, I I reflected and I thought, well, you can't be, it's hard to, I guess, put someone down for being too keen.
Yeah.
I think that's but that's the process. I thought he might be like, oh, well, am I bothering someone, just like you said? But the more you get out there and the more you show up, uh, the more they'll think of you, and they'll
Mm.
be reminded. They'll say, "Well, how about that? That person. They kept showing up, and they were here, and they did
They're
everything I
interested.
asked, and they're interested. And they'll
Yeah.
probably tell someone else because if they're within the space that you want to be involved in,
Yep.
and the opportunities don't work out for whatever reason, they're going to know other people, and
Yeah.
they're going to go, well, hey, that person was like really consistent. They always followed up with everything that I mentioned. They were even just bringing me news, whatever it may be. They'll go, oh, I might put their name to someone else if someone else says,
Hmm.
oh, I'm looking for a good person.
Yep.
So
Yep. Oh man, this is great. This is so. We should
that's
turn
good.
this into like a course or something. We totally should. And this is wicked. I love it. Okay, now so we talked about the mindset getting from a non-tech to a tech role, right?
Yep.
Um, One thing that I find super inspirational about you is that, and that you also reminded me, is that mindset of finding that success and making that success for yourself, um, it's applicable everywhere in your life. You can apply that to raising kids, right? The
Yep.
kids might be frustrating sometimes, but I apply that mindset about learning about how to be a more effective dad or how to discipline without, coming across as too aggressive or something, right? I can apply that same mindset you did. I can study, I can learn, I can talk to other people. Um, I can hire someone to come out and do it for me. No, I'm kidding. Um, but you can do that for so many different things. Now, I remember, and I actually keep thinking it was more recent than it was, but we were still working together when you told me I want to start lifting weights. And as you said at the start, for everyone listening, these aren't weights as in just, curling dumbbells or anything like that. He's talking
Yeah,
about
yeah,
lifting up something that's like a couple of 100 kilos or whatever and
yeah,
lifting over his
yeah,
head and standing there and yelling and screaming. So, but when you told me that, I was like, hey, that's cool. Nice. I didn't think about it. And then, well, you can tell everyone the journey, but I just remember when you told me more about it, I went, oh, he's serious about it, not just I'm going to lift weights. I remember you saying something like, I'm going to be the best, right? And there's almost that little bit of ego you got to tell yourself, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to be the bloody best at it. And now, however many years later, you can say that in a sec, you are the best in that class in this state, this entire state, the biggest populous state in Australia, right? New South Wales. So tell
yeah,
everyone the story. I don't want to yap on
yeah.
purpose.
So I always had an active gym regime, if you will, through the military and things like that. And then growing up, played rugby league. Um, so yes, you hitting each other. Um, and when I met my wife, we were dating at the time, and I went and did CrossFit classes with her because I just wanted
I
something a bit
remember
different.
that.
Yeah, just going to the gym. I guess I was a little bit lost, or I wasn't feeling I had the fire in my belly, basically, to do
Mm,
something. I was always strong. I could squat at that time 180 kilos quite comfortably, which for the international, or you have American people, don't you?
yeah.
What's that? 2.2, 1 second times 180. What have we got? About 400 pounds.
Wow. Yeah.
Um, and that was for a couple of reps. So I had leg strength, but I wasn't fast. And to do weightlifting, you need to be fast. Anyway, she said, "Oh, you should try and do Olympic weightlifting." So I went to a coach. They assessed me when I first got there.
Hang on,
They're
hang
like,
on.
oh,
I'm going to cut you off for a sec because
yeah, yeah,
you went from being so one, there's the networking piece, talking with people about it, about how you're feeling and stuff.
yeah, yeah,
And you're at that point, she wasn't your wife yet, but the lady you were seeing.
yeah.
Okay, so when she told you to do Olympic weightlifting, what made you suddenly go, I'm going to talk to a coach as opposed to, I'm just going to watch some YouTube video that tells me what to do, and I'm going to give this a crack in the local gym? Because that's what most
Well,
people would do.
yeah. Actually, I guess I did for a little bit. Had a little crack in the gym, and then I
Okay.
thought I probably did that for maybe a month or so, and
Okay.
I did a lot of research online and things like that, and a lot of the research was get a coach, get a coach, get a coach, get a coach, and I was like,
Okay.
okay, all right, looks like this is what we're doing. We're gonna get a
Get the
coach. So
coach. Okay. Sorry.
I
Keep going.
yeah, so I rung around, and I found one who was a very tough individual. He was the former Australian head coach and had taken athletes to the 2004 Olympic Games, among other competitions. And yeah, he assessed me and pushed me quite hard. We ended up having a bit of a disagreement after a little while, and which is not uncommon. It does happen a lot of the time with certain athletes and just coaching methods. Same as teaching methods.
Mm,
Everyone's going to respond differently to certain motivations and things like that. Uh, and he had big hopes for me. I was on the older side. I was 31 or 2 at the time, which is quite like old if you're going to really drive for I guess an international or national career, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So, but after that, I found a new coach and did some more training and progressed as I was going through as the years or months transpired. I just kept training, and you just get better and better as you go. And you need to be disagreeable with yourself. Like I said, you need to say, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to not allow myself to be conquered by um, this weight or this
Oh, nice pun. I appreciate it.
this type of exercise
Challenge.
that I'm going to do. Yeah, I
Mm.
want to do this. And the issue with weightlifting is once you do that, then they just put an extra 5 kilos on and put an extra 10 kilos on, and it just keeps going and going and going.
Yeah.
So it gets harder as you get better almost.
Mm.
So yeah, and I did a few competitions, and then in the year early this year earlier in March, I did one, and I I got the clean and jerk state record and the total. So they add the two together. So they add the snatch, which is the one where it goes straight above your head, and then
Mm-hmm.
there's the other one that goes here, and then from here, then you go up like that. So there's two different
Okay.
lifts. Um, I was against a former professional rugby player and
Mm.
another guy. Yeah, he played for Australia. He was very good. He's very strong, very good,
Yeah.
and he beat me in the snatch. And I thought, like, well, you know, I've got to win, or it was good friendly competition, and it's good. But yeah, he's very good, very good athlete, and I had to be disagreeable and say no, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to win, and it took a record to beat him basically. So
Oh,
so
jeez.
so yeah, and it put me in the number one in the state for my weight category, even being an
Mm.
older athlete. I'm still like classified as a master, but
Okay.
I was still number one for quite some time. Yeah, a good 10 months or so.
Wow,
And
man.
yeah, and even this weekend I'm doing what am I 240 kilo squat, so that's an extra 60 kilos from when I started. Uh, so yeah, adding an extra, what's that, 140 pounds on top of, so yeah, 550 squat pounds
Mm.
basically. Yeah. Yeah, it's been a very hard journey. I've had to. You really need to listen to your coaches. You need to be. You need to give them information on how your body's responding to injuries, because you get a lot of them, especially the higher you go in terms of I'd say velocity, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
like in speed and frequency of training and all those sorts of things. The more chances there are of injury. And
Yeah.
you look at a Formula One. I'm not comparing myself to a Formula One car, but if you look at a Formula One car, they're on the track for however long, and then the rest of the time they're in the garage.
Mm.
And a lot of their breakdowns and things like that occur when they're going at max chickens, as I like to call it, when they're really pushing 100%. When they're really pushing that
Yeah.
100%, that's when you can get failures, and it's it's your job to talk with your coach to mitigate those as much as possible. Do preventative things.
Yeah.
So it's quite a rigorous task
Yeah.
of doing something like that. But I threw myself at it. I said I'm going to try and be the best weightlifter that I can be.
Mm.
Doesn't matter doesn't matter who's there or who's against me or whatever. That doesn't matter as long as I'm getting better each and every day. Um, then I'm happy.
Oh man, I love it. I still remember when you sent the article that was
Yeah.
highlighting, which we're going to put in
Yes.
the notes to this episode.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I've already got it
That
pasted,
was
ready
quite
to go.
that was quite funny. I didn't even know on the she rang me, the secretary of like New South Wales weightlifting. She rang me on the morning and said, "Oh, we're going to put you in the newspaper."
Yeah.
I was driving to the event, and well, this is rather like, I was like, I haven't even lifted yet. I haven't. What if I miss? Like, what are you going to put in the paper then? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
man loses at weightlifting competition. Like,
There's
bit
motivation.
presumptuous.
They were just
Yeah, like
motivating you, mate.
a bit presumptuous. And I won that. I did win that competition, and I had the, what would you call it, the last lift to win it again. So the
Mm.
guy was beating me in the snatch. I guess got to get better at snatches, so I don't put myself under that much pressure. But he was beating me, and he was the state champ. And then it came to the very end, and I what would you call it, a clutch moment where I had to really get it, and then I managed to, and yeah,
Yeah.
the wife
That's
was
crazy. I
panicking.
mean, when you think about these things as an outsider, I mean, I don't know the sport. I just know what you tell me, and you don't even think about that entire side of it. You send me all the highlights. You also, what I also appreciate, by the way, everyone, is that Jake sends me his sometimes when he achieves the lift, but also videos of the 10 times he failed beforehand. And I'm like, is your back
Yeah,
okay? Is your neck
yeah.
looks like you caught that, And so it's kind of it's same. I'm going to relate this back to the Python journey for a sec. It's like you always see the people who achieve and that they're on top, whether they build these amazing apps, they've done this, they've got these jobs, whatever. But you don't see the 10,000
Oh,
lifts where they didn't quite make it to get there, right? So,
so
um,
many failures, so many.
yeah. Well, I mean, I love the persistence, the determination, things that we're constantly saying. You can see how that path of like seeking a coach, learning, absorbing, trying that little 1% every single day, disagreeing with yourself. Also, that you said, they add an extra couple of kilos on or pounds on
Every time. Yep.
every time. I'm like, that's what happens
Yeah,
with coding. You get good at it, the next thing comes at the next thing comes
that's
at
right.
you. So I love that this is a similar sort of packaged mindset that you can apply to whatever it is that you're doing. Um, but one thing I want to highlight, which I think is really cool, is that you didn't let anything stop you from getting better at it. And I say this specifically because when you were right in the height of learning and doing this, COVID hit in 2020
Mm,
and you weren't allowed to go to the gym. So
no.
your
Yeah.
creativity and the trouble you got yourself in is something that
Yeah.
I will never forget. But before you get into it, I just want to say, everyone, like, I want you to listen to this. Think about how just ridiculous this is, but also that it's inspiring and that when you get stuck and things around you are limited, things around you feel like they're trying to hold you back and that you're not going to get there, that you just got to be creative and just do what you have to do to hit that goal. So, what did you do during COVID to keep this up?
Yeah. Yeah. So I asked the coach if we could borrow some equipment, and
Hmm.
he said, "Yep, yep, no problem. I'll give you, a bar and some of the the plates, the big circles that we put on."
Hmm.
And I thought, okay, but what am I? I'm going to need to do squats, or I'm going to need to do like, I can't just do deadlifts off the ground with a bar or bicep curls. So I was like, okay, I'm going to have to. And gym equipment also at that time was really expensive because
Mm.
everyone was fashioning out their home gyms. Like,
Yeah.
so the price of secondhand gym equipment just went through the roof. So I thought, oh, I can't afford. I could, but I don't want to afford that, right? I don't want to spend money on other things like a
Yeah.
rent and mortgage or whatever. So I went to Bunnings, which is like, I think it's called Lowe's in America. It's
Yeah.
a
Or
hardware
Home
store.
Depot or something like
Home
that.
Depot, yeah,
Yeah.
one of
Yeah.
those places. I bought a couple of what would you, like, really big buckets, really, like, really big,
Yep.
really round. I bought them. I bought timber, cement, and
Yep.
I carved out the top and sawed it all out and sanded it, and I made a squat rack. So I
Yep.
I put the notches in and I waited for the cement to dry, and then I tested it, see how much it could hold, and I got it up to around 200 kilos, and I thought, oh, that's pretty good. Um, And then I bought some mats as well, and I started training in the garage complex at the apartment. And that lasted for 2 months until the neighbors complained to the strata company because it was too noisy. So I thought, okay, all right, what else do I do now? So I put everything in the ute. I've got a pickup truck ute,
Like that
and
you're translating this for our
yeah,
viewers
yeah,
and
I'm
audience.
trying to, yeah. And I would drive to a park every day and roll out my gym mat, roll out my squat racks, get everything set up, do my session, even in whatever conditions it was. There was a little bit of undercover area, and then no one could complain then because there was no one out. And then I'd
Yeah.
put it all back in the ute, and then drive back home, and that was my session. That's what I had to do each and every day for the lockdowns.
Man, that's ridiculous. And what did you so you ended up, so one, you got, as you said, you got kicked out of the parking garage, so you couldn't do it in there anymore.
Yeah.
But then you and your wife were working out in, or it was like Olympic
Yeah.
Park or something in Sydney, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We would go and buy. I bought, or I didn't buy. They'd give them away at a truck tire, um, tire shop, if you will. I just I went up there with the Ute one day and I said, "Hey, have you got any spare tires that I could have?" And they're like, "There's a whole pile over here." So I grabbed the biggest one I could find and I wheeled it over to the Ute and I flipped it in, and we would drive that to the park some days and we would just flip it, both of us, for 20, 30 minutes, just lifting up something heavy and that's good for the soul, and then putting it back down. And people thought we were quite strange because we were in this, like, it's a quite a picturesque walking area, walking
Yeah.
track with kids on bikes, and there's these two Neanderthal people just like flipping this tire. There's old ladies walking past, and
Yeah.
they just thought it was something very weird. But you
Something
do what you
interesting to
can.
watch.
Gyms were closed, and
Yeah.
you couldn't always have access to equipment. So do what you can.
Yeah.
Do what you can with what you got.
Yeah. I love that, man. I love it. And I used to love those pictures, by the way. Like, it's one of the things during COVID I loved getting from you, pictures of you guys flipping tires in a park and
Yeah,
um
yeah,
making stuff out of pallets and things like that.
yeah.
It
Well,
was so,
and
yeah.
we found a street sign on the road, like someone had knocked it over with a car, and
Mhm.
I thought, oh, that'd make a
That'd
good,
make a
like
great bar.
a good bar. So I picked it up and carried it
Yeah.
home. No stopping sign. Like,
Yeah.
it was knocked on the ground, like it was out of the with the big concrete bit at the end. So
Yeah.
I got the angle grinder, I chopped it off and filled it
Yeah.
full of sand and other things, and turned it into a fitness bar of some kind that I could use. So, because
Oh,
yeah,
I love it.
while equipment's so expensive, and if, like, nature, if you will, is going to provide
Yeah.
these things for me, I'll take advantage.
It's fantastic. I love it, man. That's inspiring to me because it's just everyone wants something that's just done for them, and that
Yeah,
there's so many things that people throw into it's too hard, just the too hard basket. I don't have enough time. I don't have these resources. I don't have that. I don't, yeah. You can make it work. You can do it. You can. There's so much out there
yeah,
that you can do. Um, all right, I love it. And one thing I've been holding my tongue because I thought I'd be pretty tacky, but I'm a tacky guy, so I'm going to do it. This is why you need Python coaching, people. This is exactly it. You can do that first month like Jake did of trying to do it yourself with YouTube videos and whatever, but once you get that coach, they're going to teach you what they learned through all the hard yards that they've been through. They can teach you the things that you otherwise wouldn't know unless you spent 20 years doing it yourself, um, and they help you get that success. So that's something we're trying to change, Jake, in the Python and tech space. Is that coaching isn't just for exercising and for
no,
singing and the arts and things like that, for
yeah,
those
definitely,
kind of tradey type roles. These are Coaching is something that you should invest in for anything that you want to succeed in, right? So
definitely.
um, there's my Pybites ad for the day. Make sure you like and subscribe and go to Pybites. Anyway, all right. So look, we're going to wrap it up. I know we've been talking for a bit, but I love this that mindset that you have. I'm not even going to recap it because we did so much, and you shed so much wisdom in this. Everyone, you can just replay the damn episode if you want to catch it, or if you haven't written it down. Any parting words, Jake, for people about motivation? And I mean, you've given so much, but got anything else?
Yeah, I'd say like motivation is always going to be temporary, and that's when discipline will come in. Discipline's its ugly cousin, and yeah, you need to be disagreeable with yourself. Like, really, are you honestly happy with the efforts that you're going to put in? And if that answer's no, and there's more in the tank, just give it more.
And I want to add to that: if the answer is no, that doesn't mean give up.
Yeah,
right? If
that's
if
right.
you decide it's really nothing, if it's something that's not for you, make sure you're making that decision based on data and not just based on you feeling like it's too hard and that you're giving up, right? So if the answer is no, think about what you can do to keep going the next day and the day after that, and start small. Anyway, I won't go into that. There's plenty of other things. If do you want people to find you? I'm okay if that's a no. Or would you just say LinkedIn?
Yeah, I mean, I don't use it that often.
That's all right.
I use Instagram, I guess. Like,
Okay, if you're okay with people who are inspired
yeah,
by you reaching out over
yeah,
there. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I don't post there often. So, but yeah, if they want to, yeah, for
He's in
sure, no problem.
cybersecurity. You can't find this guy anymore.
No,
He's off.
you can find me if you look hard enough. But I'm just not that. I just don't have a big
Yeah,
presence on there, I guess. Yeah.
that's right. I'll just put your mobile number in the show notes.
Yeah.
That's good.
Thanks.
All right. Well, look, Jake, thank you so much, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this. I did, as always. This is why we became friends, because this was like every lunchroom chat when we'd go and have lunch together for a couple of years. So I really inspired by you, men, and just everything you do always just makes me go, yes, next. I want to see what he's doing next. So thank you for all that you do and that you put out there. And I know we don't say these things enough, but I'm really grateful for the inspiration that you provided me as well over these years. So thanks, man.
No problem. No problem.
Do you enjoy
Happy to
this
see
first
you.
podcast?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, yeah. It was yeah, interesting. Very different. Like, just let it come and see what happens. I guess that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, zero prep, people. Zero prep.
Yeah.
We were both like 2 minutes late for the recording as well. So there you go. Love it. Okay, man. Well, thank you for being here. Thank you, everyone, for listening as always. And we'll be back next week. Cheers.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jake.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. To hear more from us, go to Pybites/friends. That is pybit.es/friends, and receive a free gift just for being a friend of the show.
And to join our thriving Slack community of Python programmers, go to pybites/community. That's pybit.es/community. We hope to see you there and catch you in the next episode.